Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 5 O'Clock Sweats podcast, the podcast where we like to talk about the things we like to do when we're off the clock, not working. Today, I'm Ryan, joined by my handsomest buddy.
Oh, today I'm the anime Derick. That was nothing.
I'm anime Ryan. If that isn't a bit of foreshadowing to what Derick and I are talking about, and if you've been following this podcast, usually when it's just Derick and me, we usually talk about anime, because we do like our anime. Chris, not so much, but when he's away, we like to take advantage of that by talking about anime.
I thought you were going to find a rhyme to put in there.
No, not in the headspace for that. But
we decided we were going to do some more of these kind of seasonal episodes. It got a little bit out of hand there earlier this year, so we want to kind of trim that back a little bit. So this is when was our last episode? I think like the middle of September.
That sounds right.
So this will encompass anything that's currently airing or stuff that we have watched since then.
Yeah.
And why don't you get us kicked off here?
All right. Yeah. Spoiler alert: I am watching significantly less anime than Derick, but that is as per usual. But I am watching. Yep. Listen, no shame. You are, like I said, if watching anime was a professional sport, you would be a Hall of Famer.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah, so I'm currently watching 3 anime that are currently airing weekly. One of them is about to end. I'm not sure about the other one, but I'm going to start with Blue Box.
Ooh.
And I always find I've done this several times, but when I'm typing this show in, I type in Blue Lock.
Yep.
And it's not Blue Lock. That's a different show about a different sport. But this is Blue Box, and this show, I think you introduced me to this show. I was not even aware that it existed or it was in production or anything. But you showed me it, and I think I'm 1 episode behind right now. I got to get current, but what I have watched so far,
I think one came out.
They come out every Thursday.
So maybe. Oh no, I'm not 1 behind. Right, you were here.
Yeah,
a few days ago, and we figured that out.
Yes. So I still have to catch up on that 1 episode. I may just wait till Thursday to watch that new one, and then the one from the previous week. But this show is really great. I really enjoy watching this show. It's just like a nice, like, just relaxing sort of watch for me. And it just the content of it is just, it deals with things that I love in anime and just in life in general, and that is romance, sports, and comedy, and a little bit of drama, but mostly it's just about sports, romance, and then it's really funny too. And I always love talking about the animation when I'm talking about anime, and the animation for this show is awesome. I love the designs of the characters. I love how they look. I love how they move. I love the colors. I love everything about it, and it's very consistent too. The characters are very well realized. They're very pretty. Like, they're all like pretty looking characters. The eyes, especially. I'm always a big fan of like anime eyes, and this show has some really good anime eyes with all the characters. But yeah, this show, I'll start with the sports aspect of this show because I love a good sports anime. Haikyuu is one of my favorites, and I see a lot of Haikyuu in this show because the lead protagonist is kind of like an underdog sort of player, although not on the same level as Hinata. Like, he's definitely got more talent, and he's like built to play badminton.
Yeah, I feel like in Haikyuu, Hinata, like, he had to be good so he could overcome his height.
Yeah.
Taiki in Blue Box, he doesn't have any sort of like thing making him less viable as a badminton player.
He's just younger than everyone else. He's a freshman, I believe, in the show, and he's trying to beat seniors, I believe. But yeah, badminton's actually, you know, as a pickleball player, I'm thinking like, oh, this is like kind of close to pickleball. So I'm just gonna kind of pretend it's pickleball and just and just vibe with it. Like if this was a pickleball, if it was pickleball instead of badminton, nothing would change. It would be the same show. Like even like the way they talk about badminton and some of the words they use and whatnot, like very applicable to pickleball. So I kind of relate to that. But yeah, the sports aspect is good. It's definitely not the focus of the show, but it is in the backdrop a lot. And I do enjoy like the scenes that are focused on the sports. Like I know that one of the most recent episodes they had Taiki play like in a match against somebody like a singles match, and it was pretty intense. The animation was good. It wasn't just like a montage sequence with like stills. It was actually like animated and looked really smooth and good. So I really enjoy the sports aspect of it, and the female character as well. The female protagonist, Chinatsu, I believe that's how you say it. She plays basketball, and we dabbled in what was that basketball anime? Slam Dunk.
Oh, Slam Dunk, yeah.
The Slam Dunk. Yeah, we dabbled in that a little bit. Yeah, we dabbled in that a little bit. So that was really the only time I've seen. Well, it's probably not, but it's the one I think of the most when I think of basketball and anime. And they don't really show her side of it as much. They show her like practicing in the gym sometimes, shooting, but they're not really focusing on her games. But I still just enjoy like the sports backdrop. So I'm always a sucker for that. But the real star of the show is the romance, obviously, between the two main characters. But there's also a bit of a love triangle with a third female character, Hina, right? Pink hair, Hina. And I like a good love triangle in anything, but especially in like an anime. And there's always, I feel like there's always a love triangle in these like high school romance animes.
Oh yeah, has to be.
There
Otherwise, it's too easy. There's no conflict.
There has to be some drama, but I like the show. I like what they do with the romance in this show. How, you know, the lead male protagonist and the lead female protagonist, they're kind of put in a situation where the female protagonist has to move in with the male protagonist's family. Their moms are friends, so they're going away or whatever, and then she's staying with them temporarily, but for the rest of the semester, I guess, or the school year. And you have that aspect of it where they're under the same roof, but they're trying to like hide their feelings from each other, especially on Taiki's side.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but then there's also like some miscommunication, like with Hina, who's like Taiki's best friend, and Shinatsu obviously is like getting jealous because she's starting to get feelings for him because she admires the way he, I guess, motivates himself when it comes to badminton and the way he practices and the way he just keeps wanting to keep getting better and better. And they kind of like have a relationship where they motivate each other to get better. I think they actually, they say like we are each going to make the finals like in their respective sports, and that's kind of their goal.
Yeah.
They even make like friendship bracelets or like anklets for each other, or she makes one for both of them, and they have matching anklets.
Stinking cute, man.
Very cute, very cute. And the show is cute. The show is also incredibly funny, which I like. Obviously, you got to have some humor in there, but this show is definitely funny, but it's got a good balance. It's not a straight comedy. It's also not a straight like melodramatic drama or melodramatic romantic drama. So it's just a really well balanced show. Again, the animation quality is great, and I'm just enjoying it. I really have no complaints about it. I don't know anything about the manga or anything, so I don't know if this is going to be multiple seasons or what. I really don't know. I'm sure it will be, but who knows? But I'm just going to continue to watch it and just enjoy what I'm watching. And I hope the only thing I'm worried about, I guess, is like story wise, like, are they going to do something that's going to piss me off, or are they going to, I don't know. We'll see. But so far so good with that show. I've really enjoyed it. And you're watching that too, right?
Yeah, I am. Well, what would you rate it so far out of 10?
Oh man. I mean, for me, it's probably a 9 out of 10 at least. I mean, I
I'm with you.
Yeah,
that was a number I had in my head too.
And I don't even know why it's not a 10. I don't really have anything wrong with it. I don't have any negatives really to say about it. I guess it's just not done yet, so I need to see the full picture before.
Yeah.
And if it sticks the landing, it'll probably be a 10 out of 10. But yeah, it just for the genre, it just really checks all the boxes. And again, it's the sports aspect, the romance, and everything. It's really well balanced and really well done. And the animation.
I actually wish that there was more sports in it.
Yeah, I guess that's actually maybe my negative, is that I wish there were more sports scenes, but we might be getting those later in the season, like as the episodes progress. Because right now in the story, like they're en route to to nationals, I guess, right? So that's kind of like
right. They're both doing qualifiers or something.
Yeah, something like that. So we're probably going to be getting some more sports action in future episodes. I don't know how many episodes this show is. This feels like it's going to be like a 12er, but
it's a 25er.
Oh, it's a 25er.
Yeah.
Oh, we're definitely getting some more sports episodes, like sports centric.
Yeah. I will spoil a little bit for you. This next episode, because you're down one on me.
Yeah.
That's one of the ones where I'm like, I feel like there should have been more sports in this episode.
Okay.
But I mean that's a one episode knock. Don't take that with anything less than a pinch of salt.
All right. Well, I'll check it out and I'll see what I think about it. So yeah, that's Blue Box. Can't wait to watch more of that.
What else you got cooking?
Yeah,
I know what you got cooking. Tell the people. Tell the people.
Cooking. Well, this next anime is probably the most popular anime in the world right now, and that's Dandadan. I mean, if you're an anime fan, you're watching this. Even if you're not an anime fan and just interested, you've probably checked it out. It's all over social media. It's been in like Netflix's like top 10 for a while now.
Yeah, and for good reason too. It's fantastic.
This was one of the few anime that I heard about a while ago and was extremely, like, I could see the hype for it. Like, people were hyping this shit up, and the trailers dropped, and I was like, whoa, this looks fucking awesome. And it just, like, visually striking. And you really just got to grab me with striking visuals for an anime, and I'm in. Like, the story, I'll judge the story when I get there, but if it looks pretty and just fun, I'm checking it out. And this show is fucking fun. It is incredibly fun, incredibly fast paced, incredibly just, I don't know, it just balls to the wall. Awesome. And I really don't have any, I mean, this is a 10 out of 10. I'm just going to get into the rating right there. Like, this show's a 10 out of 10. I don't see how it's going to get lower unless they kill someone off that I really love, which is possible. And I mean, what can you say about the show? I mean, the visuals, I'll just start with the visuals. I mean, the visuals from the trailers, you knew they were going to be great. Yeah. And they are great, consistently great every week. You have there's a new scene, or just the whole episode in general is just like art. You're just looking at art for 25 minutes, and the character designs are all great. The colors are amazing. Like, kind of like sometimes you feel like you're on a drug trip or something. Like, when you're watching this, you're like, there's so much going on the screen. I love how they visualize speed in this show. There's a lot of scenes where like characters are running, and the way that they depict speed is just so well done. Like,
now
you can feel it.
Are you talking like Okarun Turbo Granny running?
Yeah.
Or do you mean like Okarun, I say, like running down a hallway?
I mean, anything, mostly the Okarun Turbo Granny transformation running, but even in the latest episode, there was like they're swimming really quickly. Like, I mean, just anytime they're moving fast, like the scene when they defeated Turbo Granny on the train, like that's the episode I think of probably when I'm thinking of just like speed in the show. Is just that entire sequence was just like a great display of speed in general. And yeah, the camera work in the show is awesome too. Like, the camera's doing some crazy shit. I mean, you got to follow all the things that are happening on screen at the time at a time. And Yeah, I mean, just visually, this show is just top notch. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than this visually. It's a treat every week.
Yeah, I think that this is something I told you. I think in the first episode, and I'm trying to figure out how to make this sound like a compliment. The first episode and many subsequent episodes where they deal with aliens feels very Rick and Morty-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Like the pacing is very cartoony as opposed to anime-y. And like it doesn't happen too much with the spirits and like Turbo Granny and all that, but as soon as those, what are they, Serpoians come up,
something they want, all they want is the banana organ.
Shit just gets zany, and I like that it kind of, it started out the season with them, and then it kind of went to a different part of the supernatural, and then if aliens are back again, bang, we're back into the zany. Like it's really refreshing to kind of, I don't know, cleanse the palate.
Yeah, no, it's got great balance, and I do agree with you that it like the two different, when they're dealing with the two different types of entities, that like the show's tone changes a little bit, but not in a bad way. It's just like it's still the same show. It just, like you said, a little more cartoony when they're dealing with the aliens. And it's because the aliens are just fucking weird. Like these guys are just these aliens are just like incredibly creepy. I mean, all they want is Okarune's banana organ. And yeah. I mean, this show crosses some lines sometimes, which I'm fine with. I don't care about that, but I mean, it definitely takes some risks. Like in the most recent episode, I know there was a really controversial scene in the manga that ended up getting adapted, which in 2024, you're like, oh, are they actually going to do that? And credit to them, they actually did it. I really didn't think it was that bad. I mean, it is what it is, but I get why it was controversial, but I mean, it goes with the show. Like the show, it just matches the tone, and it doesn't surprise me at all that it happened.
Yeah.
The show just, that's the way it is. I mean, it doesn't stick out or anything. It's just, this is the Dandadan experience.
And it does add to the comedy of the situation, right? Because it's like, I mean, I'm not going to spoil what it is because I think it's pretty funny. Mm-hmm. But it's like, all right, well, they just found themselves in this situation without realizing it. Yeah. And now here we go.
Yeah, basically. And this show also has a love triangle, which is great. I'm all about love triangles. Like I just said, this one's got a good one. I really love...
This one has a good two.
A good two, yeah. I just love the dynamic between Ken and Momo. I think they're really, really cute together. I love how they met, and I love their arcs throughout the show, like their relationship arc, how they're just becoming like the one episode where like they got done dealing with Turbo Granny, and then they went back to normalcy for a little bit for one episode, and they like were so desperate to find each other again to like talk, and they were like so nervous to talk to one another. Yeah, it was really, really cute. And then they introduced Ira, who I think also has pink hair, right?
Yep.
And she kind of is that third piece of the love triangle now, with her and Okarune. And again, just some really hilarious things have happened. And yeah, the show is just it's really just hit on everything that I like in anime. Just a great blend of everything. I also think that the show is fast paced and zany, but it slows down when it needs to, and it's very effective at delivering like dramatic moments. And I think everyone, like, the episode I'm going to refer to, and that is episode 7, I believe, which dealt with acrobatic Silky, that spirit. And I mean, that was that's in the running for anime episode of the year. I mean, that's up there with like Demon Slayer last episode of the latest season. I mean, it was awesome. It was just like art. like I said, this show's art, but that episode specifically was just, the entire thing was just art. It was incredibly moving, and the show had not, to that point, had not taken that big of an emotional spin. Of emotional turn to like really bring you to tears. But man, did they deliver on that. I mean, I was not expecting to cry during the show based off the previous 6 episodes, but that episode, man, it hit me. It was so well done. And yeah, I mean, it was just definitely, it's one of the top episodes of the year for anime. It's awesome.
Yeah. It kind of worked its way. Well, you know, my algorithms are the way they are, and I accidentally happened upon some information about where Dandadan's heading. Nothing super spoilery, but I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm excited for what's next.
Great. Well, I haven't seen any spoilers whatsoever, and we only have one episode left of this first season, so
we have 3 episodes left.
Oh,
it's a 12er.
Why did I? Okay, I must be getting confused with another anime. Anyway, it's nearing the end, so I'll be sad when it's gone. But it's definitely a season I'm going to rewatch sooner than later. I mean, it's up there with Jujutsu Kaisen season 2 for like just awesome seasons of anime. I mean, and this is the first season, so I have no idea where the manga is headed. I have not seen any spoilers at all for the show, which is refreshing because of how popular it is. I still am avoiding spoilers.
Lucky.
Yeah, I guess I'm just not looking in the right places. Not that I'm looking for spoilers, but you know, I guess I'm just gotten lucky so far. But also, is there a better opening OP than this OP? I mean,
Jesus, dude, Creepy Nuts has been killing it. I mean, this song is great. The martial theme was great. Like, didn't they make another one before?
I have no idea. Maybe.
Oh yeah, Chef's Kiss.
Yeah, I mean, I love anime that have great OPs, and there have been a ton of great OPs in anime, but this is one of the best I've seen and heard, and it's one of the few, like, even like the better ones I'll skip eventually, but this one, there's just something about it. I can't skip it. My body just needs to hear it. My ears need to hear it, and my body needs to experience it.
Yeah, when you were here, I let that shit play, man.
I can't help it. Like, the head's moving a little bit, the foot's tapping. I'm just like, I can't stay still and watch that. Like, it just like, it does something to me. Like, I gotta move a little bit.
It's a peek behind the curtain in our recording software. Sometimes he freezes up a little bit, and you know, it always catches up. It's like local recording or whatever. But during the sound effect of you were completely frozen for me. So I don't know what you did, but editor Derick later on is going to find out what it is.
It was nothing.
So funny.
Yeah, that OP fucking slaps, and I'm wondering if it's gonna change with season 2, but I hope it doesn't. I hope it just stays the same.
Yeah, that opening is the reason that I figured out my neighbors also watch this show.
Oh yeah, you said that you heard it through your neighbor's wall. It's so funny.
It was maybe like the first or second night sleeping in this new apartment, and all I heard was the bass drum, and I'm like, wait, is this Dandadan?
Yeah.
And then like I heard all the music like drop out at all the right times. Like, oh, I'm like, that's it. And I don't know. The more I listen, I'm like, it's definitely that. Haven't talked to them yet. I think they have a cat.
You have to introduce yourself, or just play it loudly so they can hear it, and then, you know,
and then we can avoid each other.
It can be
knowingly.
You have to figure out if they're watching it like at a consistent time every week, and just try to watch at the same time.
Yeah, I think the first time they watched it on a Friday.
Okay.
Because I remember that. I mean, I didn't have like fucking anything set up here that first Thursday that I was here. So it had to have been that Friday. But anyway.
Yeah. And this show also does something which I really enjoy in anime as well, and that is the villains becoming allies and like good characters and characters that you actually can cling on to and actually root for. And they've done that with Turbo Granny so far. Turbo Granny's so funny, and I know she's a cat right now, basically, but yeah, she her arc's been funny. To a lesser extent, Acrobatic Silky a little bit now that she's become one with Ira. But I guess I can't end this part without mentioning Psycho or Seiko, however you say it.
Yeah.
AKA Sexy Grandma. Momo's grandma in this show. Apparently she's 80 years old, but in the anime she just looks like, I don't know. She just looks like any other young character.
She looks crazy. Not.
She looks not. She wears like grandma clothing. Well, maybe not. But she doesn't really. I was gonna say she wears grandma clothing, but she has like the thing on her head, I guess, which kind of looks like anime grandma a little bit. But everything else is just not. But they don't go out of the way to hide it. They go out of the way to showcase sexy grandma, and I'm here for it. I'm fine with it. Yeah, I'm just super excited for the future of the show. Next few episodes obviously are going to be a ton of fun, I'm sure, and it sounds like you're excited with whatever you've seen.
Yeah, and also you thought there was one episode left. You just gained 2 more episodes out of nowhere.
I'm super hyped now. This is going to carry me through the holidays. And yeah, I said 10 out of 10. Are you? Well, I mean, what would you give Dandadan so far?
Yep, I'm with you so far. I'm going to go the way of Blue Box and say 9 out of 10. But if they stick some landings, then I will be liable to bump that up to a 10.
Alrighty, very good. I think that's fair. And the last anime that I'm currently watching, and this was one that I was excited for a while because I'm a huge fan of the franchise, and that is Dragon Ball DAIMA. And I'm very proud of this show because when it was first announced, it got a lot of hate from Dragon Ball fans. But I wouldn't even say like they were Dragon Ball fans or like Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super fans, because everybody wanted the continuation of Dragon Ball Super of the manga to get animated. And instead, we got DAIMA, which is Akira Toriyama's last work. This is the last thing he wrote and like led before he passed.
Right. And exactly what was the criticism when it was announced? It was like, we did this already, like GT.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously like the whole characters turning into kids thing, very reminiscent of GT, which is a very divisive show in the Dragon Ball community. There's people that love it, there's people that hate it. I'm kind of in the middle. Like there's parts that are great, there are parts that are not great. But anyway, neither here nor there. I think that kind of rubbed people the wrong way. And it's like, oh, we're back to kids again. Like we've done this before. How many times have you seen Kid Goku? But that was, and also the fact that it wasn't Super, because Dragon Ball Super ended on such a high note. We haven't, and it also hasn't aired since what, 2016, I think 2016, 2017. 2018, one of those 3 years is when it stopped airing. I remember because I was catching up on it. I was catching up on it in 2018, early 2018, because the Eagles were in the Super Bowl. In fact, the
March
morning
25th, 2018 is the final episode air date.
What was the date?
March 25th, 2018.
Huh. Okay. Anyway, I remember I was literally watching the end arc of Super the morning of the Eagles Super Bowl against the Patriots in 2018. And yeah, that's what I remembered. It's like I had to have ended around then. But yeah, and that show ended on such a high note. Like that last arc was lit, it was fucking fire. And the manga has continued, and those arcs have also been very well received by the manga community, and people were very excited to see that animated. And the fact that I don't even know if there's an update on that. I don't know when. I'm sure we're going to get it eventually. I just don't know when. So the fact that this is happening kind of left a bad taste in people's mouth too. They're like, oh, why are we getting this show? Like, you put so much effort into this and not Dragon Ball Super Season 2. But nonetheless, I was always optimistic, or I was cautiously optimistic about the show. I was like, you know what? Fine, why not? It looked like this is what Toriyama wanted. Like, this is his last work. Let's at least give him the respect of watching it with an open mind and see how it goes. And unlike GT, this show is canon, which is a big deal. This show does play into the larger universe, and man, I just really freaking love this show. I think it's great. I really do. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I think, and unfortunately, I think that a lot of people just kind of tossed it aside. Like a lot of fans, a lot of anime fans that were probably huge Dragon Ball Z or Super fans, just didn't really give it a fair shake because they just were like predisposed to like, no, we're not going to watch that shit. Well, they're missing out because I think the show is really great, and I think it's one of the best things that they've put out. You know, obviously since like Broly, or like the movies have been great. But a lot of Dragon Ball Super was meh, or meh to bad, honestly. Like, especially early on.
Yeesh. I've never seen Super, so I'm just trusting you.
Well, some of the arcs are just inconsistent. I think the last arc's really good. But the biggest thing that plagued Super was the animation quality from episode to episode. The beginning of Super is the worst Dragon Ball's ever looked. Like, if you look it up, there are some clips you won't believe what you see. Like, it's crazy. But anyway, this show had a 2-year production, I believe, going into it. So they had a lot of time to put everything they had into the show for, you know, just visually. And it shows. This show is fantastic to look at. It is so pretty. It is consistent. Every episode just looks visually just fun and vibrant. And the character designs are all fantastic. I love how they look. And I mean, the latest episode, which was by far the best episode, and if anything's going to bring people back to bring people to the show, it's that last episode, just seeing clips of it, because we got our first real like action of the show.
Right. Which, by the way, we should say that episode is titled Tamagami. Just because, you know how time works. We record this, another episode comes out. Suddenly they think we're talking about the one where, you know, Goku poops everywhere. Yeah. Which actually was a different episode.
He did poop in an episode, yeah. But yeah, the episode 8, Tamagami, that episode was peak. Like, that fight was so awesome. It was so fun to look at. The quality was just great. Like, Dragon Ball hasn't really looked that good in a long time. I mean, since Broly, since Dragon Ball Broly. At least the 2D Dragon Ball hasn't looked that good since then.
Man, the combat in that episode was fucking fantastic.
The choreography, like the camera work, you could see everything happening. Like, there wasn't a lot of visual clutter. The long shots, you know, like the wide shots of the fighting and everything, the scale of it all. It was just great. And one of the lead animators on that episode was one of the lead animators in Dragon Ball Super Broly, which you can tell, especially the scene where Goku does the Kamehameha wave, the way the camera shakes and everything. You can just tell it's a specific guy. And yeah, they went balls to the wall with that episode. I was very pleased with it. But even that aside, even like the slower episodes, I just like, because I think the show just has a bunch of great characters, and I love the world that they're building here with the Demon Realm. We've never explored it before in Dragon Ball, and now we're getting to see it. And I love the world building they're doing with it. I love the new characters that are being introduced. I think, like, for example, like Glorio, I think is a super cool character, very Han Solo-esque. Pansy,
that's a good shout, Han Solo.
Yeah, he's very Han Solo. I mean, he's got like the vest, he's got a little pistol. He's like he can fly the pilot, like he's a pilot sort of character. He's also got like I don't know, he's got some shady ulterior motives that we have recently come to see. But I like him. Pansy, I think, is a fun side character, kind of like the tech wizard. And then some other characters. But I also like the focus on like Supreme Kai, who gets some time in the limelight a little bit.
Yeah,
I haven't really seen a ton of him.
While.
Yeah, I haven't really seen a ton of him since the Buu saga. And then we still have like Vegeta, Piccolo, and Bulma, who are eventually going to become more prominent in the show. But right now, it's more focusing on Goku's journey. And then they're eventually going to join him. And then, it'll go from there. But I also love the lore they're adding. Like, this show is just enriching the Dragon Ball lore, which is awesome. Just like,
yeah.
I mean, I have a list here of things that they've added so far. I probably missed a couple, but like the fact that Namekians are demons, that they came from the demon realm, is pretty cool. We didn't know that before. Like, we knew Demon King Piccolo from Dragon Ball, but we didn't know he was actually a demon.
Like a Dragon Ball deep cut, right?
Yeah. Like, they're actually demons. We got a little insight into how Kais, or they call them Glins in the show, like that's Supreme Kai's race, is a Glind. We found out how they're born. They're basically grown on trees, which is pretty crazy. But that's pretty cool. We also learned Supreme Kai's real name, Nahari. We thought it was Shin. Not Shin, it's apparently Nahari. And then the first episode, they keep going back and forth on this specific thing, but the Patara earring fusion between Kibito Kai and Supreme Kai in Dragon Ball Z, where they fuse together. In this show, the first time you see them, they're separated, but like this show takes place right after, like not right after the Buu saga, but after the Buu saga. They should still be fused together. So they luckily they don't gloss over it. They actually tell you what happened. And apparently Majin Buu's like body, like the inside of his body, emits like gas that can can diffuse a Patara fusion. And that also goes back to Dragon Ball Z when Vegito got defused inside Majin Buu. Like, it all makes sense now. Okay, there's just gas in there. Majin Buu's got some gas going on that can disrupt the fusion. And then recently, like the most recent episode, we got a little retcon, I guess, if you want to call it, with Dr. Orinsu, who also Supreme Kai's sister. Okay, he's got siblings. And he's got a brother too, who's gonna play a bigger role, I'm assuming, later in the show. But she was at the scene of Vegeta's sacrifice in Dragon Ball Z, one of the most iconic scenes in the show. And she's collecting a sample of Majin Buu. So
that's fine, probably.
What does that mean for the future of this show? I mean, are we gonna? I know Toriyama's brought back. I know we've seen Frieza get resurrected. We've seen Cell Max, another version of Cell in the superhero movie. Are we going to get another Majin Buu? Are we going to get like the same Majin Buu, or is it going to be a different version of Majin Buu, or what? Like, I don't know. I'm excited for it though.
The same Majin Buu still exists on Earth.
True.
He was partying with them at the temple, right?
That is true. Yes. Are we going to get? But he's the good version. Are we going to get the evil
also
version
turned
again?
Into a kid, I believe. I think he got turned into like little fat Buu.
Mini, yeah. I mean,
fucking, it's been 7 episodes since the first episode.
I know.
Cut me a break.
Anyway, yeah. There's, I mean, and probably the biggest complaint I've seen about the show of people that are watching is that it's just the pacing is slow and that it's just building up. It's been building up for a while. Like. As good as this last episode was, it is the 8th episode, and we finally got like a legit fight where like the stakes kind of felt high, and like Goku had a challenge. But so far, Goku has been just like basically adapting to the demon realm because the gravity and whatnot or the air is heavier there. So he's been adapting to his younger body, also very GT-esque. But we've seen him like have some fights, but like he's just wiping the floor with these people that he's fighting. Like they're no match for him whatsoever. He's just they're just warming him up basically.
Yeah.
So I do kind of see why people are complaining about that. But at the same time, like you got to give the show time to build the world, and establish the characters And he's got to, I mean, I don't know. He's got to be patient with the show.
Yeah, it hasn't felt slow to me, but I feel like I could definitely feel that they were building to something because that's all they're doing. You're in a literally completely different world. Like, let's ground ourselves. Let's fucking get our bearings. Let's figure out what this body can do.
Yeah.
We don't know how many episodes this is, right?
I heard possibly 20.
Yeah, this feels like a 25er. Also,
I hope it's more than 20, but if it is 20, we're at episode 8, so we're technically not halfway through the show yet, but we're almost there. And we finally got our first big fight, but that leads me to believe that the second half of the show is going to be freaking crazy. It's going to be pretty crazy. Who knows? I mean, again, we really haven't seen Piccolo or Vegeta. Like, they haven't even met up with Goku yet. And,
yeah, that's a good point.
They're going to get some action.
Yeah, they have to.
They're going to get their moments, I'm sure. I'm sure. Toriyama, Piccolo's Toriyama's favorite character in the show, and I'm hoping that he gets some big limelight here in the second half. But so, I mean, we're gonna see Vegeta, have a big fight probably. Hopefully, I hope he doesn't get done dirty. I mean, Vegeta always gets done dirty in Dragon Ball. Like, yeah. Hopefully, he has a moment.
So, what would you rate this right now out of 10?
For me right now, I think just for a Dragon Ball show, I'm rating it a 10 out of 10. I think this show is awesome. Obviously, I that's just through 8 episodes. I think obviously we need to see the full scope of it, but I mean, the vibes, like the Dragon Ball adventure vibes, along with like the top-notch action that we've seen, especially in the previous episode. Like, if we got that level quality of animation for that fight, I mean, just wait until like the later fights that are definitely gonna be higher stakes.
Yeah. So what would your rating be if those fights didn't come? If the season ended and Piccolo, Vegeta, Goku, they don't have any more like big fights against big bads or even medium bads.
Well, I don't know.
It just ends.
It would have to there would have to be something that happens, listen, like, it's a Dragon Ball show. It needs to have action. Like, it needs to have like great, like, spectacle action. And, I know Dragon Ball is a beloved anime for a lot of people, and that didn't, like, it had action. It didn't have like the scale of action that Dragon Ball Z has, obviously, because Goku's not as powerful and the opponents aren't as powerful. But this is Goku post Majin Buu. I mean, he is the strongest being in the universe at this point, besides obviously Beerus, who we haven't met yet in the context of this show. But for this show, not thinking about Super at all, he is the most powerful being in the universe. So there needs to be some action for him to display that. So, if the show didn't have any more big action set pieces, I would deduct points, because at the end of the day, like, people tune in to Dragon Ball for action. I mean, the adventure is great and people love that, and I do like that, but there has to be some action, because that's the first thing you think of when you think of Dragon Ball is fighting and transformations and just key blasts and explosions and whatnot. Like, yeah, I mean, you need that in a show. I mean, it doesn't have to be the focus, but it needs to play a pretty decent part. So if there's no more action, I'm thinking that they fumbled the bag, or they better have the most interesting story ever.
Yeah, I mean, the point being, we kind of got to see the whole thing and take a step back from it before we figure out what we want to rate it. But I think I agree with your rating so far. It's great.
Yeah, and then one last thing, really quick. I know we're getting high on time, but I love that Super Saiyan feels powerful again. Because Super Saiyan just kind of got tossed aside, like, oh, it's just a normal transformation. But in this show, they took the Dragon Ball, they took the Super Broly movie approach, where Super Saiyan transformations look awesome, and you can really tell the power difference too.
Yeah,
big fan of that.
Cool. All right. And anything else you got?
No, no. I took up a lot of time, but I got to leave the floor to you now. I
Oof.
know you've been watching a lot.
I've got a couple that I watched since our last episode, a couple that I'm watching this season. And like Ryan said, we're a little bit short on time, so I'm just going to run through these. So one of the first ones on my list from September that I finished was Tengoku Daima, Heavenly Delusion. One of the ones that Ryan urged me to watch. Essentially, it's set in a post-apocalyptic version of Earth, where there's like these man-eating monsters that just kind of roam around and eat people. There's also like this insular, or well, I guess isolated facility. And it shelters children and nurtures them from birth through when they are no longer there. I think that is the most accurate and least spoilery, but also kind of spoilery way to put that. And then outside that facility, right there is an outside of like the post-apocalypse, and there are two young survivors, Maru and Kiriko, and I believe they just grew up mostly post-apocalypse. Like they can still remember the before times, just about. But they're kind of used to roughing it. That's about all I'll give you on the show itself. Things I liked about it. I really liked the mystery component of it. I was not used to like. Well, I mean, you kind of see it all the time when you're watching movies, right? You see things that hint at other things. You're like, oh, well, I kind of know what's coming. But having it in episode format, where like bit by bit you're getting like a power here, or like a footprint on the wall here, or like a key here. Like the pacing of it and putting the mystery together for yourself was very satisfying for me.
I love the breadcrumbs they lay throughout that show.
Yeah, and they also do leave it pretty open for sequels. There's a lot of threads left loose and untied.
Oh yeah.
Again, I do rate these pretty much right when I'm done with them. I rated this one a 7 out of 10, which is a bit lower than I had expected. I think it was just kind of like the pacing of things. I think the more I was putting stuff together, the more I wanted to figure out what the payoff was behind that. Yeah. And there was just, more story going on while I wanted the other thing.
I feel like as the show goes on, like you may go back and rethink your rating for the season. Not that I don't know what's going to happen, but I have a feeling that as the story progresses, that it's just going to enrich the seasons that came before it.
Right. Most pickupable character, the character that scored the most pickup points was Cuckoo, the girl with the frog powers. Yes, basically.
Yes, that makes sense.
Because she also figures things out like at her own pace, and we the viewers know that she's correct, but she doesn't fucking tell anybody. She notices something, she's like,
that's weird,
interesting.
Should that be there?
I just think that's fantastic. She's like right about it, but like she doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Another one that I finished, which I actually started back in May, but it's called Tonari no Seki-Kun, the Master of Wasting Time, or the Master of Killing Time. This is like a comedy. It's basically a children's show. Okay. All the episodes are, what is it, like 12 minutes, 6 minutes, something like that.
Okay.
But it's about a girl named Yokoi Rumi, and she sits right next to Seki-Kun at school. We're talking like maybe first year of middle school. It's not like high school or anything. But Seki just gets up to elaborate shit and ways to waste time during class. Think of like Phineas and Ferb, but in class. And Rumi just has to like look at it and pay attention to class while also trying to get him to like not do his shit. It's very fun.
Okay.
I rated this one an 8. I just loved like the ridiculous stuff that they make normal, which is also what I liked about Phineas and Ferb. Right, like the first episode of Phineas and Ferb, I think, is when they build the roller coaster. No, that can't be right.
So I've never seen Phineas and Ferb.
Oh, it's so good.
I know you're a big fan.
Yeah. Most pickupable character, definitely Rumi. Very, very closely followed by the robot family. That doesn't make any sense to...
The whole family is pickupable?
Pretty much anybody.
Anybody in that family?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a mom, a dad, and a kid. And they are all joint the amount of pickupable they are.
That's cute. I gotta look this up.
Another one I watched. This one, admittedly, was in the beginning of October. I kind of wanted to find something a little bit spookier to watch. So I watched Mieruko-chan. This is a comedy horror about a girl named Yotsuya Miko. And she's friends with this happy-go-lucky girl named Yuri Kawahana. Turns out Miko can see spirits, and they're attracted to her friend, who just has like a bunch of shit going on in her life that like would cause spirits to, gather around her.
Mm-hmm.
But Hana can't see them. So Miko decides to just pretend she can't see them and tries her best like not to react to all the scary shit that she sees.
Yes.
So funny. When I read that, I'm like, ooh, that's a really interesting premise. And like it's billed as a comedy horror. And I rated this one a 7 because it was not as comedic as I would have thought, given that comedy was the first thing on there. And maybe I'm now realizing they're probably put in there alphabetically, huh? Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to have to rethink my my way of thinking about these then. But it was funny and it was good. It wasn't as scary as I thought, and it wasn't as funny as I thought, and for that reason I bumped it down to a 7.
Was it like a lot of the jokes didn't land with you, or like did they not try to be as funny as you thought they'd be?
They just didn't try to be as funny as I thought they'd be.
Interesting.
Like I thought it would be like way more comedy.
Okay.
But it was not the case. Most pickupable, obviously Hana. Definitely 100% happy-go-lucky friend. Here's one that I brought to the last episode that I said I wanted to watch last season, but I did finally get a chance to watch it after that episode. And that's Makeine, Too Many Losing Heroines. This one had pretty good buzz around it last season. It's from last season. The premise is that the main character, Nukamizu, he's a first year in high school, and he tries his best to kind of be a background character. He doesn't want to stand out too much. He meets a girl named Yanami Anna and a handful of other losing heroines, right? A bunch of these girls that, have had their love rejected by others, and maybe there's some stuff that they have to work through. And the show is just about them trying to, navigate all their different situations. I gave this one a 9. I thought this one was really, really good. I thought that the animation, which is not something I'm typically good at noticing. I feel like you're way better at that. I thought that this animation was really good. Like their use of light and like very stark light, like shadows from trees.
Yeah.
It was kind of jarring at first because I'm like, no anime does this. But then the more I saw it, I'm like, wow, no anime does this.
Yeah.
It was really good. I struggled to find a character that I didn't like, honestly, in this one. Most pickupable, Yanami Anna. Period.
Period. Sounds like a pickupable character.
Yeah, I think this one is one that you would enjoy as well.
Okay.
I also watched Welcome to the N.H.K. The premise being Sato is a 22-year-old college dropout. He's been a shut-in NEET for, I guess, ever since he dropped out of college. I forget how long that's been. He's very into like conspiracy theories, and very specifically, he thinks there's an organization called the N.H.K. that is responsible for him being a shut-in.
Okay.
We have some flashbacks of like his high school life, and he was, normal student, wasn't a shut-in, basically. But it is about his struggles of being a NEET and trying to overcome that while still not really changing his attitude, and those two things kind of butt heads. It's kind of like one of those 2 steps forward, 1 step back type of deals.
Do you know what NHK stands for?
Nihon something.
Okay.
Nihon Hikikomori Kyokai. Yeah. So he, again, fictional.
Yeah.
He thinks it's literally a organization that makes hikikomoris. So it's like,
okay,
definitely. Oh, well, I won't spoil anything. I rated this one a 7. I thought I was going to like this more, but around episode 10, I finally looked at the entry, and it's a 24 episode season. I was like, son of a bitch. It's just
finished in the night.
it's so slow. That's why I was asking about the DAIMA episode count, because if people are thinking it's slow, immediately I'm like, all right, well, this is gonna span 2 seasons, and this is gonna be a 24 or 25er. This one, maybe they could have done it in 12. I know that there was a lot that they had to kind of adapt. There are also some storylines that they could have just straight up left out. And it would have improved my perception. I probably would have gone up to an 8. But I mean, given that it was 24, can they fit that into a 12? Maybe not. Most pickupable character is, of course, Nakahara Misaki. She's the female main character who tries to get Sato out of his lifestyle. And she turns out to have some unknown motives, which is fun. One that I finally picked up, Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation.
Okay.
Everybody loves it, and for good reason.
I've heard of it.
It's a 34-year-old shut-in, like many isekais. Just dies, gets killed, and bang, isekai'd. Turns out in this world, he's reborn as a very, very talented and very, very perverted mage. So he's for some reason super talented. He still has his like 34-year-old brain up there, so he like knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also, this is not great. He was also, I think,
not great, but
yeah,
it's anime. It's all right.
Gonna have to figure out how to edit around that. But I rated this one a 9. The world and his journey through it is so rich.
Okay.
Nice. I can't believe I put it off for so long.
Ooh.
All the problematic shit aside, like I was I was very into the world, I guess I would have to say.
You're selling me on it.
Most pickupable character is definitely Roxy. If you think it's Eris, you are almost right.
I'll just have to watch and determine myself.
Shoot. All right, I got a sprint lightning round. I also finished Samurai Champloo, finally. After watching Cowboy Bebop, I said I was going to watch Samurai Champloo. The first, 25% of this season was way slower than I wanted it to be. So I kind of fell off it for a little bit, but I came back. And essentially this is, Edo period Japan. There's two samurai. One's cold and calculating. His name's Jin. And there's one that's like reckless and kind of an asshole. His name's Mugen. And they meet, they fight, and then they meet a waitress, and she basically tells them to, come along with her to help find a samurai that smells of sunflowers. So they decide not to kill each other until they find the samurai who smells of sunflowers. And it's about them going through Japan as, two samurais and a clumsy waitress, trying to do this. I'm not a super fan of Fu being clumsy and always just like stumbling into situations. I think that trope is kind of beat, honestly. But it does make for good television, kind of like how Cowboy Bebop and I had another example that I've immediately forgotten as soon as I said Cowboy Bebop. But like almost every episode could be like a bottle episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that.
I rated this one an 8. I was almost going to give it a 9. During the finale, I had that thought. And I just thought the finale could have hit a little bit harder. It could have not pulled more punches, I guess is what I'm saying. And again, the first half was just so slow. I had to bump it down a little bit. Most pick upable, also Fu. That's it. Another one that I watched that was not airing this season is Origairu, my teen romantic comedy SNAFU, which is
you gotta love the
hilariously long
anime titles.
And that's not even one of the long ones.
Yeah.
But this is about an aloof high school student, Hachiman Hikigaya, who is narcissistic and semi-nihilistic. So he's just kind of a gloomy boy.
Yeah.
One of his teachers forces him to join the volunteer service club. And that is where the beautiful ice queen Yukinoshita Yukino is president and the only member. The club eventually gains Yuigahama Yui, and it's about the three of them trying to figure out who they are individually and just, with each other. And I've seen, it looks like, 2 seasons and all the OVAs. Still need to watch the 3rd season. I'm waiting until I get a couch to do that because I am couchless at the moment. But I rated this one an 8. I thought that this was one of the ones where I'm like, of the things on my watch list, like I do want a romance anime, and this one was the one on my list. So I went with it, and I do not regret it. I think this one is also one that you would like. So I guess I guess what I'm saying is there's 2 romance animes waiting for you that I think you'll like.
I like a good romance anime when Blue Box is done.
Yeah, this one's definitely longer. There's how many? There's over 30 episodes of this one.
Oh, so. Wow, that is long.
Yeah, it's 3 seasons, a couple of OVAs. Most pick upable is Yui, because of course it is. This is
of course it's Yui.
This is the problem with me naming the most pick upable characters is that you've not seen these, and
nope.
I'm just talking to myself, basically.
But when you say the names, I'm usually like, yeah, it sounds like it tracks, basically. It sounds like it would.
Yeah. For me, it's just like it's almost always the side characters, right?
Yeah, they're usually the most pick upable. They're usually the cutest, the smallest, whatever.
Here's maybe this is still weird because this is the seasonal anime episode, and we're still kind of in the middle of the season. We still have a couple of weeks left. But right now I'm watching You Are Miss Servant. Essentially, maid comes to a high school kid's house, and turns out she's actually a lifelong assassin. And she's trying to give up that life, and he's trying to deal with that.
Is it your?
Interestingly, no, you know what? Never mind.
Same voice actors?
No. So I am a freak for like identifying voice actresses.
Oh, you are. I know. Every time we watch anime, you're pulling up the whatever you pull up, IMDb or whatever, to check the voices.
Anytime I start a new anime, I'm like, all right, who does this voice? I'm like, I'm definitely at the point where I can kind of figure it out without looking it up, and also at the point where like if I do look it up, I can tell from like their headshots, like their little icons. I'm like, oh, okay, that's yours, voice actress. No, but this one, the voice actress for the maid is the same as the voice actress for Chinatsu Senpai. You waited, yeah,
okay, from Blue Box, yep,
yeah. Most pick upable. It is the little sister character this time, Yoko Yoriko. Orb on the Movements of the Earth. This is a historical drama, basically about heliocentrism, right? And I didn't think I'd like this just because of the historical tag, but holy shit, does it pass the 3-episode test? It is the only reason I'm still watching it, because after the 3-episode test, I was like, I can't not continue. I have to finish this. So far, that one's also rated an 8.
Just added to my watch list too on Netflix.
Oh yeah. Another one I'm watching, Negative Positive Angler. I think I kind of got influenced by the algorithms on this one. But essentially it's a kind of deadbeat guy who's in a ton of debt, and like he borrows from loan sharks and gambles it all away. He also goes to the hospital because he's feeling sick or something like that, and he's told he only has like 2 years left to live. And he runs away from loan sharks, finds a bunch of fishermen, starts fishing. When they get back to shore, turns out his apartment got demolished. So this is a man who truly has nothing, and he's trying to learn how to fish, and he's enjoying it.
Sounds wholesome. Honestly.
It is.
After everything else, it sounds wholesome.
Most pickupable character, Ayukawa Hana. She is very kind to pretty much everybody that works at the same convenience store that they do. Speaking of voice actresses, this one is the voice actress for Power from Chainsaw Man, and she is all over the ding dang place on this list.
Yeah, she's on fire.
She's Ayukawa Hana in Negative Positive Angler. She's Pansy in Dragon Ball Daima. She is also the main character in Magilumiere, Magical Girls Incorporated. Which, if you're thinking, that doesn't sound like something you would watch, 1, you're wrong. 2, so it's the premise is these kind of like natural disasters, which really just means monsters show up and we kind of accept that they're just showing up. Yeah. But these monsters called Kai show up and terrorize people. And turns out magical girls and magical girl businesses are everywhere. This follows a new grad with pretty much no physical skills to speak of. She gets a job in this industry. She is the most pick-upable character. I just had to bring up the
okay.
So
the main, she's the main.
Yep.
Oh, that's a rarity.
Yeah, for me, right?
Yeah, I'm getting Kaiju number 8 vibes from hearing you describe it.
It's more like, I could see like Kaiju number 8 meets like bubblegum pop Sailor Moon magical girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Blue Lock season 2.
Yes.
I am watching. So far, yes. I will give it a 6.
That is the lowest I might have ever heard.
Is non-existent. There is no animation, basically. It's like a glorified PowerPoint. for
That's
23
crazy.
and a half minutes.
Is it still going that way? Is that how it's presented still?
It's gotten a bit better with the most recent arc, but people were hoping that the arc before this was so shitty because they were saving all their animation juice for the current arc. And the current arc started. Turns out not the case. So I'm very disappointed in it, but I will continue.
Man. That was a. I know the first season was pretty popular, and there's a lot of hype going into this new one. I heard about the animation complaints after like episode 2, I think, and I didn't realize they were still. I haven't seen anything about it recently, so I didn't realize it was still going on. But I guess because no one's watching it, or people stopped watching it because of that.
Yeah, this is
credit to you though for keeping with it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just hopium, I guess.
Hey,
I want to believe that it'll get better, and you know, maybe it's one of those things where like we'll just throw this season in the bin. The next one's going to be the one where we come back stronger. I doubt it, but fucking surprise me, I guess.
Sucks, man. I just wish these studios would just take the time they need to animate their shows properly, because it's literally animation. Like the show has to be animated. You know, you need to have quality. You need to have quality. You know, don't rush it. Just take your time and deliver a quality piece of art. You know,
and I get that it can feel like a business, right? Like, well, the people want this anime, and like this is the deadline, but like ultimately we are the consumers, so like throwing garbage out to hit deadlines and like sales quotas is kind of, I don't know, disappointing. I understand businesses need to make money, but like, fuck, man.
It's a miracle that it's a miracle JJK season 2 was as good as it was, and I also commend like Attack on Titan, like Mappa, for taking their good old time, almost to a fault, but they took a lot of time and it paid off. It really did.
I do have something to talk to you about that afterwards, but I'll keep on moving. The last one from this season that I'm watching is 365 Days to the Wedding. This is about people who work at a travel agency, and it turns out that agency is going to be opening a new branch in Alaska, and corporate is trying to choose someone from their branch to go and run it, which would require moving. So corporate is prioritizing single folks first, just because it's easier to move people who don't have families. Which is semi the case in my most recent move. I also had a hard time. But two people that really don't want to go to Alaska decide to formulate a plan together that they are going to be married in like a year's time. So they fake their engagement and romance ensues. Ooh. And also some comedy in that they can't tell people that they're not actually engaged. It's nice.
Some Spy Family vibes mixed in there
so far. I think it's cute. I think that there could be some more movement, especially in the most recent episodes, but I'm not going to knock them for that. Most pickupable character is Honjo Jirika. That's the main character, the female main character. You brought up Your Forger earlier. This is the same voice actors. And I can't not think about that. There's a second place most pickupable character, and that is the cat, whose name is Kama.
Of course. Surprised it's not first, honestly, for you.
And let's see how far I can get in one breath. Here's all the follow-ups I have from last episode. The Elusive Samurai, I rated that an 8. It was very satisfying when Tokiyuki gets going. I did finish that time I got reincarnated as a slime season 3. I rated it an 8, but you could sway me to a 9 depending on your arguments. I just love the way that they resolve things in the series as a whole. I also watched Yuru Camp season 3. I rated this a 9. It's one of my favorite series out there. The season was fun, and they introduced some new friends to camp with. Oshinoko season 2, I rated this a 9 because holy shit. The story doesn't even feel like it's started yet, and we've had so much stuff happen. And I just feel like we haven't had the, oh shit, that's what's happening moment yet.
Really?
And I'm so looking forward to that. And of course, My Hero Academia season 7, I rated this one an 8. I thought that this season was going to be, the end of it. They did stop right after the season, but heck no, they're dropping movies because of course they would. Yes. And that's about all I got. That's as close to a lightning round as I can get.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think under 2 minutes was pretty good for that. 3 breaths, though. I don't know. Still some room for improvement.
Yeah, it's all right. You'll work on it for next episode. As per usual, you are watching a lot more anime than me, but I applaud you for it, and I'm proud of you for it.
I'm not doing anything else, so it's fine.
Just wait till you get that couch, man. You're gonna be you're gonna be locked
ripping
in,
through 'em, dude.
Yeah, nothing standing between you and your anime.
Yeah, well, there we have it. That is our seasonal anime episode. It's always interesting to go back to these because obviously when we watch things, we pick different things out, and I feel like I'm normally just a fun stories kind of guy, and I feel like you have a real appreciation for the art, for the craft, and all of that. So I think having these episodes really helps me be a better anime watcher by kind of, employing the things that you bring to the table here.
Yeah, it's like listening to you describe these animes so I can make notes and watch them, add them to my watch list for future watch.
Yeah, and you can add us to your watch list.
Nice.
On YouTube, we're at 5 o'clock sweats. That really is our main avenue. We are also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, as always,
stay sweaty. We should do.
Yeah, where's the anime glasses glare?
Yeah, for the anime episode. Yeah, we should just point like that, stay sweaty.
Oh no, we should do the fucking fusion dance. No, that's so difficult.
Oh wait, go this way. Fusion.
Oh god.
No, you gotta go the other way.
I've injured myself.
No,
why would you go away from the camera?
Well, on my screen, this is connecting to you.
Yeah, but that's pointing to Master Chief for me. You're not even trying to fuse with me.
Imagine if I just want to fuse with John 117.